Then said the prophet unto the god, I adore thee in the song. I am the Lord of Thebes, and I the inspired fourth speaker of Mentu. For me unveils the veiled sky. The self-slain Ankh-Afna-Kansu, whose words are truth, I invoke. I greet thy presence, O Rahur-Kuit. Unity uttermost showed. I adore the might of thy breath, supreme and terrible God, who makest the gods in death to tremble before thee. I adore thee. Appear on the throne of Ra, open the ways of the Ku, lighten the ways of the Ka. The ways of the Kabs runs through to stir me or still me, Aum, let it kill me. So that thy light is in me, and its red flame is as a sword in my hand to push thy order. There is a secret door that I shall make to establish thy way in all the quarters. These are the Adorations, as thou hast written. As it is said, the light is mine, its rays consume me. I have made a secret door into the house of Ra and Tum, of Kefra and Ahathor. I am thy Theban, O Mentu, the prophet Ankh-Afna-Kansu. By best Namaut my breast I beat, by wise Tanich I weave my spell. Show thy star splendor, O Nuit. Bid me within thine house to dwell. O winged snake of light, Hadit, abide with me, Rahur-Kuit. Let's talk about the sun. As the sun is, as the days are getting a bit longer, a minuscule amount longer, the sun has made the beginning of its return. And we think about our lives in reference to the sun at this time. But just a word on the Aum, let it kill me. I know that most of us, who have been interested in the Thelemic magic for more than just a few years, we've been used to saying, Aum, let it fill me, because most of the transcriptions of the English version of the Book of the Law have carried the word Aum, let it fill me. But if you look at the translation or the transcription of the Stele of Revealing itself, it says, Aum, let it kill me. And in the earlier versions of the Equinox of the Gods, where Crowley includes the translated paraphrase from the Stele of Revealing, it says, Aum, let it kill me. Now, there's a lot of controversy because people don't like the thought of changing the Book of the Law, and I totally agree with that and totally understand that. But please remember, all of the verses like this that you see in the Book of the Law weren't part of the dictated voice of Aiwass as the Book of the Law was being dictated. They were inserted later at the direction of Rose and Kelly, Rose Kelly, as they were putting the manuscript together after the dictation period. So the Book of the Law proper okay, is not really those verses, part of the dictated verses. And the little section that that Crowley gave the printer his instructions on what to insert from the paraphrase of the stele and what and where to put it. The idea that it was filmy was Crowley's marginal note in pencil to the printer, saying print the adorations from here down to filmy. Okay, so we can think that that was a divine intervention, that Crowley was telling the printer where to stop the adorations, or we could assume that it was carelessness on Crowley's part. Either way, I would not get in a bar fight with you over fill me or kill me. Okay. When I first was given a copy of the paraphrase of the stele from Grady McMurtry and Phyllis Seckler back in 1975, in the papers that they gave me at my initiation, it was straight from the Equinox of the Gods, and it said, "Aum, let it fill me." And I always wondered, well, why does it say "Aum, let it kill me" in most of the translations of the Book of the Law? And there's a couple of other things. After the word, there's a semicolon, and it's obvious from the manuscript itself that there's the exclamation mark. So, I figured, well, who knows? My teacher, okay, if you want to get formal about it, my formal teacher, Phyllis Seckler, taught me the adorations, and she taught me the adorations using fill me. So in one sense, I'm happy saying fill me. And in the other sense, I'm also happy saying kill me. So you just do what thou wilt. But please don't ridicule those who would say that from a technical point of view, kill me is correct. Because damn it, it is. Okay. All right, let's talk about the sun for a second. And the solar rites. From my material in The Magic of Aleister Crowley, I start chapter 9 with the epigram from the Book of the Law. "There is a secret door that I shall make to establish thy way in all the quarters. These are the adorations as thou hast written." Within a religious context, the magic of Thelema could accurately be described as solar worship. As a matter of fact, I'm digressing here. As a matter of fact, when I'm talking about Thelema to, say, somebody sitting next to me on the airplane, and they want an explanation of what kind of religion Thelema is that I'm Archbishop in, it's easy for me to say, well, it's a form of sun worship. And then I say, and by my use of the word sun, I also include myself. So that usually shuts them up. Okay, within a religious context, the magic of Thelema could accurately be described as solar worship. The only thing new and revolutionary about it is the worshipper's relation to the sun. It doesn't take very long for the modern student of comparative religion to see the countless similarities and parallels inherent in the world's so-called great religions. We might even say, if we allow ourselves the emancipation of a truly open mind, that the religions of the past are really only aspects of one religion, whose universal object of worship is the sun, and whose ceremonies and observances and holy days are based upon the reoccurring yearly passion play that is the solar calendar. Terrestrial life pantomimes the sun's life-creating qualities in the reproductive capabilities of each organism. Our ancestors drew a direct parallel between the sun and the phallus, and between sunlight, blood, and semen. This correlation assumes increasingly profound dimensions as we apply our greater understanding of astronomy, physics, and medicine to this great evolving religion. The simple truth of the death of the sun was destroyed by the truth of the heliocentric system, which is destroyed by the truth that our solar system revolves around a central something which may very well be a black and inscrutable negative dimension. Theoretically, all of this originated as a compact and pre-existent negative singularity, which for some reason could not contain itself and in all likelihood will someday withdraw everything back into nothingness. Meanwhile, we're discovering that everything we were, are, and shall be is encoded upon a chemical chip called DNA, which impresses itself upon our cells and flows like an eternal river through the blood of infinite generations, whose most important function is to serve as a Noah's Ark for this evolving superlife. All of the Thelemic rituals express the formulae of the new solar consciousness, but two in particular incorporate the sun itself as the central element of the ceremony: Liber Resh and the Mass of the Phoenix. Resh is a simple series of 4 adorations which are performed at dawn, noon, sunset, and midnight. These are formed as classic Egyptian adorations, but customized to satisfy Crowley's idea of the new magical formulae. Resh serves as an excellent form of background concentration, which requires us to acknowledge our magical relationship with the sun at least 4 times a day. The object of this practice is firstly to remind the aspirant at regular intervals of the great work. This is Crowley's quote. Secondly, to bring him into conscious personal relationship with the center of our system. And thirdly, for advanced students, to make actual magical contact with the spiritual energy of the sun and thus draw actual force to him, or actual force from him. The Mass of the Phoenix is a Eucharistic ceremony created to be celebrated at sunset in order to fortify the magician's awareness of the sun during its nighttime journey. Like the star ruby and the star sapphire, it first appeared in print in the Book of Lies, where it's positioned as chapter 44. Because there appears to be an element of self-mutilation in the Mass of the Phoenix, there continues to be considerable misunderstanding about the ritual. And outrageous statements by extremists on both ends of the magical spectrum have caused many serious students to avoid it altogether. Crowley wrote in chapter 20 of Magic and Theory and Practice that the Mass of the Phoenix should be performed daily at sunset by every magician. Did he really expect us to risk our health by slashing our chests open every evening? I confess that as an overzealous young fool, I celebrated the Mass of the Phoenix by using a surgeon's scalpel in place of the burin to make the proper sign. To my amazement, the blade painlessly disappeared almost entirely into the flesh of my chest before I realized what was happening. The cut was extremely clean, and for a moment there was no bleeding whatsoever. Then it came, quickly running in a thick stream over the front of my body. Determined to complete the ceremony, I tried to staunch the blood with the cake of light, only to have it disintegrate in my fingers in a flood of warm blood. The sun was half obscured by the horizon, and its soft orange light bathed my blood-soaked chest and fingers. I bolted for the bathroom as I nervously parroted, "With mirth I now go forth, and with thanksgiving to do my pleasure on the earth among the legions of the living." I was frightened, agitated, injured, embarrassed, and I did not feel very spiritual. Let the blood of my sacrifice wash you clean of any temptation to do such a stupid thing to yourself. It's obvious from the text that the magician is to actually draw blood in order to consecrate the cake of light before consuming it, but nowhere is it indicated that pain, scarring, or injury is a required element of the ceremony. It's a Eucharist, not a ritual of self-mutilation. An excellent way to make the proper sign, and the proper sign could be a mark of the beast, sun and moon conjoined, a simple cross, or a circle with a cross in the center, which is what I use. An excellent way to make the proper sign is to use a machinist's scribe, a rod of steel tapered to an extremely sharp point. It's easy to sterilize, and if one is careful, it's possible to lightly scratch the symbol on the flesh. This will remain visible for several hours. By applying just a little more pressure to a small area of the scratch, the tool will break the skin just enough for a tiny drop of blood to rise to the surface. This fulfills the literal interpretation of the ritual without harm to the magician, and allows him or her to concentrate on the real purpose of the ceremony, namely, a solar Eucharist. The ideal setting for the Mass of the Phoenix is outdoors or before a window open to accommodate a view of the setting sun. The ritual is so brief that the magician can begin as the sun first touches the horizon and have time to charge the blood on the chest with the last rays of the setting sun. This solar consecrated holy blood is then trapped in the cake of light and eaten by the magician. When the Mass is over, the essence of the sun is safely sheltered until dawn in the body of the magician. If performed regularly and over a period of time, the body of the magician will be renewed cell by cell by this divine solar nourishment. It is rare for someone to have a lifestyle which would accommodate the perpetual celebration of the Mass of the Phoenix, but it's an excellent component to the daily regimen of a, say, magical retirement. Liber Resh, the other solar rite I'm talking about in this chapter, is so short it can be performed, at least in an informal format, almost anywhere, and Crowley urged his students to never omit its performance. Okay. Now, I rambled on, excuse me, my immediate prologue to these two things. Tomorrow, we'll actually talk briefly about the Mass of the Phoenix and Liber Resh. But until today, let's get on with our day. I'm going to put on my coat because it's chilly here in the car. Okay, I am once again at Sprouts Farmers Market, waiting for Constance. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt.